welcome to the Giant Pregame Show presented by Sherwood Ford. Tyler, Caroline here with you. You guys know the drill. What's going on? Tyler, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay here. It's a Saturday night game day. For a while, like Saturday nights for the Oilers had been not good. They were in a pattern for a few years of it seemed like they always got smoked on Hockey Night in Canada. They're 4-0 this year on Saturday, Caroline.
Okay,
they've
so that's good.
They've outscored the other team 15-7 in those games.
Well, that's good because if we quickly recap the game against the Bruins, the Oilers lost 3-2. This is now 4 games in a row that they have lost. Their record now is 16-9-0. And we're being honest, the Oilers didn't have a bad game. There was effort there. It wasn't one of those lazy, complacent games that we've seen from them in the last few weeks. However, tonight they're playing a good Canes team. Next week they have a very good Toronto Maple Leafs team that they're going to go up against. They need more than just effort. They have to dig a little bit deeper and get to a point where if they're playing well, they need to find a way to win.
Yeah, and that's the big problem for me right now. Once again, I actually think it's been 2 straight games where they've started pretty well.
Yeah.
And then the goal against Minnesota, they started well, then Mikko gave up a really weak one. Against Boston, they started really well, and then Tyson Barrie, an atrocious turnover at his own line. Marchand goes back the other way, scores. So, the process is there. They're actually starting to play better hockey.
Yeah.
But at some point, if you want to be considered a contender and you want to be a good team and all that, just having the process isn't enough. You need to start scoring. And there's a lot of guys in this lineup who you're looking at and going, hey, they're doing a lot of good things. They're getting a lot of good scoring chances. But at some point, you need to actually score and earn your paycheck a little bit.
The first moment that comes to mind when you say that, and, Zach Hyman's been doing his job on the ice. We can't say anything, offside about Zach Hyman. However, he had the opportunity to tie the game against the Bruins, and we were saying that we're not hockey players by any means, but that's something that is a must-score chance.
Well, and that's one of those things, too, where, when you're rolling, that you usually find a way to put that puck in, and it's just a sign of what's going on with the Oilers right now. Zach Hyman is an elite net front presence in the NHL, and him to put himself in such a weird spot on the back door where usually he's just automatic. Again, it was just one of those things where it happens and you go, yeah, they're not going to win this hockey game again because, that one thing doesn't go their way. It was super frustrating.
In your opinion, what is this team, and everyone online, please chime in, what is this team lacking right now? Is it creativity? Is it toughness? Is it good defense? Is it all of the above? What's an area that Tippett and the boys need to zone in on and actually change now moving forward?
I honestly think it's just finish. It's simple as that. Zach Kassian had a good look last game, didn't score. Warren Foegele had 6 shots on net last game, didn't score. Nugent Hopkins had a couple of great shots in the slot. He hit a post. There was one point where he probably should have just ripped the puck and he was trying to seam a pass. It just seems like as a group, they're super snake bit at 5-on-5 and they need to snap out of it. But again, encouraging signs. They've outshot their opposition in 2 of their last 3 at 5-on-5. They're getting chances. They're forcing power plays. There's stuff going right. It's just they're just a little bit short, and that's why I think they'll snap out of this thing eventually. I'm weirdly optimistic right now.
Well, here's my thing. As a former athlete, when I see that a team's lost 4 games in a row, potentially could be 5, could be 6 with the teams that the Oilers have coming up on their slate, at what point, and this is a big conversation online, at what point do you turn to Tippett and management and say, what do they have to do to shake up the locker room, maybe go to the board, be creative? Because, yes, I do think the onus is on individual players to perform, right? That's not on Tippett. However, it is Tippett's job to be creative, maybe make some tactical changes, and lay someone in. If they're not playing well, shake him up in the locker room, and you gotta turn to Tippett at some point and say, what is he doing to improve the core of this team?
Yeah, and Jonesy in the Twitch chat said we need our bottom 6 to provide more goals, and that's exactly what it is. You brought this up on the last show, the idea of moving Nugent Hopkins onto his own line down the middle, and I wasn't huge on it. But our boy NHL Sid wrote a great article up at Oilers Nation today where he laid out kind of what the configuration would be there. And I actually think it might be time to do that. They need offense from the bottom 6. The way I would lay it out, I would go McDavid centering Warren Foegele. I'd give him a chance on the top line because he's rolling right now, or at least he's getting his scoring chances right now. And then I would have Puljujarvi on the right side. I'd go Draisaitl with Yamamoto and Hyman on the second line. And then I'd probably put Nuge down on that third line with Kassian and Sevier maybe and try to mix it up that way. But they need to get some offense going in that bottom 6.
Well, it doesn't hurt to try, right?
It doesn't.
If it doesn't work at this point, okay, don't do it again. But if you have McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge as your 3 centers, then hopefully give the bottom 6 a chance to start producing these points. All right, I loved your tweet the other night, and so did Twitter, because it popped off. Tyson Barrie's kind of struggling right now, as we know. You tweeted Tyson Barrie gets paid a lot of money to do what Evan Bouchard could do just as good, if not better.
Evan Bouchard's top 25 in defenseman scoring this year, and he hasn't gotten a lick of power play time. And I just think at a point, and I get that the power play struck twice last game, and Barrie picked up a couple of assists as well, but that first turnover was really ugly. There was no accountability there. He was right back out there right after the goal was scored. I just look at it and go, you have a guy like Bouchard who's got an absolute bomb of a shot. He's shown that he's good in the offensive zone. He's been producing for you all year. I don't know why you don't give him a more serious look in that spot, especially at a point where they had like one power play goal in their 16 attempts. And again, they bounced back. Draisaitl with a couple of beauties, and those are just all-world goals from Draisaitl. The angle he put that second one in on was just stupid. But I just don't understand why Bouchard isn't getting a bigger look on the power play. He can do it. And people are going to sit there, and I saw the comments to my tweet, or replies to my tweet as well, going, oh, Barrie led the NHL in scoring. Bouchard's never done that. If you watched the games, if you have your eyes on the screen and you're watching the play, you would know that Bouchard's capable of running that power play, and I don't know why they won't give him a look.
I 100% agree. All right, are you ready to put this game in the books and move on to our opposition report presented by Yegberger? All right, everyone, big must-win for the Oilers tonight as they're taking on the Carolina Hurricanes at 8 o'clock p.m. at Rogers Place. The Canes are 18-6-1 on the season, and it's the return of Ethan Bear tonight. No surprise here that Sebastian Aho is leading the Canes with 29 points and is someone that obviously our D has to shut down. What else has to happen for the Oilers to make it there's no way that we can have 5 straight losses in a row.
No. Yeah, the Oilers are going to have to play really well, and this is a Canes team that they're a legit cup contender. They got off to just a smoking start this season, cooled off a little bit. Yeah. They've won 3 in a row. They've been outshot in 2 of those games, though, and they're just 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. So this isn't a Hurricanes team that looks unbeatable like they did earlier in the year. They're battling some injuries as well. They got a handful of key players on the blue line out of the lineup. Tony DeAngelo has been fantastic for them this year. Brett Pesce, really good top 4 D-man. They're missing both those guys. You mentioned, though, Ethan Bear back in the lineup after he missed the last game the Canes had with an illness. But this is a Canes team that can score goals. They're really deep up front. They're 9th in the NHL in goals scored per games played. And they're getting some really, really good goaltending this year from Freddie Anderson. He hasn't been confirmed as the starter yet, but if he does, that'll be a big issue for the Oilers. I'm really hoping that it's not Anderson between the pipes of the game.
As a former Toronto Maple Leafs fans, Freddie Anderson is elite, an elite goaltender, and of course I want the Oilers to win tonight, but I always wish him well.
Brind'Amour just confirmed him, actually. So Anderson, he's 13-5 this year, 1.97 goals against average, and .929 save percentage. This is a guy who's in the Vezina conversation.
Yes, big time.
It's going to be tough for the Oilers to crack him tonight.
Big night then for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Haven't had like that real big night from McDavid in a few now, or those you get those games sometimes where you can tell McDavid just wants to take it over. Hey, Saturday night, big stage. It's a good time for McDavid to do that.
Awesome. What are the lines for the Canes?
Let's dig into the lines for the Hurricanes. You mentioned him, Sebastian Aho on the top line, 9 points in his last 5 games. He's on a roll. Teuvo Teravainen and Nino Niederreiter up on his wings. Jordan Staal on the second line with Jesper Fast and Andrei Svechnikov. Svechnikov, a little snake bit as of late. 15 shots, just 1 goal in his last 5. Trocheck with the rookie Seth Jarvis and Marty Necas. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi on the fourth line with Steven Lorenz and Derek Stepan. The D pairings are Slavin with Ian Cole. Jacob Slavin, I mean, that's a guy who's going to be a Norris contender again this season. Brady Shea with Jalen Chatfield and Brendan Smith with Ethan Bear. So injuries piling up on that Canes blue line. So maybe a spot where it's an advantage for the Oilers there. And let's get right into the Oilers lines as well, because things are staying pretty much the same as they started last game. They're going McDavid, Puljujarvi, Hyman, Draisaitl, Nuge, and Yamamoto, McLeod, Cassie, and Fogle, Derek Ryan, Colton Sevier, Devin Shore. That bottom 6, it's going to be the big one for them. Nurse with Bouchard. Lagesson is in the lineup. Russell's hurt. He's going to be out a couple of weeks. Apparently, Duncan Keith is close, but he's not quite ready to return to the lineup yet. So Lagesson will play with Ceci. Niemelainen with Barrie is the third pairing, and Mikko Koskinen gets the start for the Oilers. At bottom 6, right, Caroline? That's where all the attention's got to be
honestly
tonight.
And how are we feeling about Mikko in between the pipes? I don't know. I feel like these days I'm like, I want Mikko Koskinen so bad to be consistent and good and solid, but then I'm like, then I'm like, okay, Stuart Skinner, but then he lets in a few. I don't know where I am at with goaltending. Goaltending and defense right now is a little scary for me.
Yeah, with Koskinen, like it's been an up and down season for him individually. He's won a lot of games in net for the Oilers, but it's been up and down. And right now, I think he's in one of those down points. He's given up 9 goals against in his last 2 games. But again, if you believe in the roller coaster that is Mikko Koskinen, maybe this is the night where it comes back up, right? Oilers have been good on Saturdays. Mikko's been great on Saturdays this year. Maybe this is just a Saturday night team.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about where you're putting your money. Bet of the game presented by PointsBet.
Yeah, let's dig into that. The Oilers, once again, favorites. They've been favorites in 20 of their 24 games this year. Sportsbooks definitely have a lot of love for the Oilers. They're minus 121 on the money line, plus 120 in regulation, plus 190 on the puck line. I was looking a little bit at their team total set at 3.5, but with Anderson in net, I'm definitely staying away from that number. The over-under is set at 6.5. The Oilers, actually 3 straight unders or pushes for the Oilers when we're talking totals. For your bet of the game, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Darnell Nurse shot prop has hit in back-to-back games. It's still set at 2.5 on most sportsbooks, paying out minus 130. He's had 5 shots or more in back-to-back games. I think he's going to hit this thing again here. He's been ripping a lot of pucks on net, and if the sportsbooks aren't moving that line off 2.5, I'm going to keep betting it. So we're up 1.9 units on the season, record of 14-11. Darnell Nurse shot prop once again. Let's let it ride.
There you go. There you go, guys. Tyler's here to make you money. And I have an update on the Crystals. I found a way to charge them, so I put them in salt water and then left them in the sun. So hopefully they're charged. Maybe they were out of their magic powers. Hopefully they help us tonight. Producer Liam's sick in the background, so. Anything else going on? My Twitter chat's frozen. I'm not ignoring you guys. I don't know what's going on with my phone.
Well, in the Facebook chat, there's just 2 people arguing, so that's super annoying. So that's a good day to give some love to the Twitch chat today. Scott Aroni said the bottom 6 has Tyler's sweater. They're avoiding the grind.
Honest to God.
I will say that, like, producer Liam and I were talking before, Zach Kassian's got to get going. Like, this is a guy, you're making $3.2 million. You at least need to do the effort stuff. Again, like Fogle, he needs to start scoring, but at least he's getting his chances, right? Yeah. He's going to the right areas. With Kassian, like, he had maybe 1 decent scoring chance last game, and I don't remember a big hit that he laid. There was twice I caught him just absolutely lackadaisical, either coming out of the zone or going back to the bench. And it's like, man, if you're going to be a $3.2 million bottom 6 winger, you at least have to do the effort stuff right. So again, Saturday night should be a good atmosphere in Edmonton. Kassian needs to be one of those guys that gives some energy to his teammates and to the crowd. They need more from number 44.
Especially since he's one of those guys who can do exactly that, right? When you have a Kassian who's 10 out of 10, he's able to propel the team forward solely on energy and the things that he do. The things that he does at the beginning of the season. He was off to such a hot start, but then everyone's like, with Zach Kassian, his problem is consistency. So he really needs to get back and rolling again.
Genesis said Fogle Hattie tonight, ? And I like this one here from Mistaken Mexican. What's the value on a bear goal? Gonna have to throw some on that. I mean, like, Dmitry Kulikov's out here scoring against the Oilers. Every former Oiler will score. PointsBet has Ethan Bear at a very juicy 8.5 to 1 to find the back of the net tonight.
Yay. All right. Anything else going on in the chat? Or are we out of here?
No, where are the Crystals?
The Crystals, okay, guys, the last few games, they were here. It hasn't been working. I'm superstitious. I moved them, but they're charged and they're in a safe place. So we're all good on that front.
Yeah, that's what Tori said in the chat as well.
Hey, Tori.
The Facebook chat is getting a lot of let's go Oilers, a lot of, hope will never die, which is a good slogan right now. 4 losses in a row. Oilers can bounce back from it all tonight, though, and I think they might. Like
we said, they were off to such a hot start. They have like a little bit of a cushion where if they have a 4-game losing streak, it's not the end of the world. However, they do need to change the tide at this point right now because the schedule's getting tough. Canes this week, obviously the Maple Leafs next week. They got to get into a good rhythm now.
Good. It's an optimistic Saturday, though, so hopefully the Oilers can bounce back in this one.
All right, guys, see you next game day. This has been your Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford, and we're out.